Hey guys, happy Monday. This is Jason with Modern Stone Technologies and Stone and Tile Institute and TechLead Consulting. Sorry, I had a very long weekend. Actually started on Thursday and ended late last night. As you can probably see, all the stuff still in my truck. Still needs to be unloaded. So I apologize. I'm definitely kind of tired today, but it is Monday. The show must go on, and as promised, I do these weekly discussions for you guys every Monday, and I will do everything in my power to keep that going as long as I can. So happy Monday. I hope your weekend was as pleasurable as mine was. And again, that you guys were not working too hard and were able to relax or at least get out and have some fun. So I'm going to try to keep this conversation under 10 minutes. I know I say that every single time, and so far I have not been able to do it, but I think today I am definitely going to be able to keep the conversation under 10 minutes, so we will give that a shot. The topic that I want to talk about today is something that has come up recently, but it's also come up countless times throughout the years by both you guys, the contractors, whether you guys are into restoration or contractors who deal more with installation, or homeowners who have either had our products used in their houses or who have just stumbled across us online and want to know how to maintain their floors once their floors have been either cleaned and sealed or just installed. I mean, these rules pretty much apply whether the floor has been sealed or not. Unsealed floors you can get a little bit more aggressive with because you're not as concerned about damaging any sealers or potentially damaging any sealers that are down there. But an unsealed floor is going to get stained a lot more easily, and even with some of those more aggressive cleaning and maintenance approaches, you're not going to get it looking as clean as you would have had it been sealed. So with maintenance instructions, gosh, I get this call all the time, and the way this conversation usually starts is, hey, you came out and you sealed my floor, or somebody came out and sealed my floor, and I mop it every single week, and it's only been 6 months, and this floor is now dirty. And my response to that usually is, well, the reason why your floors are so dirty is because you're mopping them once a week. And people like to hear that because, you know, people, when they hear they don't have to mop as often as they've been mopping, they get excited and they wonder, okay, what is this guy talking about? What am I doing wrong? Why is my floor getting dirty? Because I'm mopping. And the reason why is people just don't mop well. They don't mop properly. When people mop their floors, they are taking a mop and they are pushing that mop up and down the floor, and they are using usually one mop and one bucket of water, and they are doing their entire house, whether their entire house is 500 feet or their entire house is 2,000 feet. They're taking that mop and they're pushing it up and down, and they might be doing a really good job at picking up that dirt for maybe the first, 50 square feet. Once that mop is kind of filled with the dirty mop water and the cleaning solution and whatnot, they're just pushing dirt around at that point. And as we all know, grout is recessed. Grout is textured. A lot of tiles now are also very textured and have little pits in them and little voids in them. And all of that dirty water that you're pushing around is getting pushed down into those little voids, into the recessed grout, getting caught on that texture of those tiles and of that grout. So that's usually the first thing I say is I say you're mopping too frequently. Now, you can go in and you can sweep and you can vacuum and you can do all of that as frequently as you'd like. If you have dogs or heavy traffic or whatever, and you need to pick up some of that loose, dry debris, do that whenever. Sucking that stuff up in a vacuum or sweeping that stuff up with a broom is not going to hurt anything. Where people run into problems is, again, with that mop. They're taking their mop, they're not even vacuuming or sweeping first, and they're putting that mop down on the floor. All of that mop water is mixing with that dirt, and if anybody has seen what happens when you mix water with dirt, it turns into mud, essentially. So sweep or vacuum on a regular basis, and mop every 4 to 6 weeks. Spot treat when needed, or in your heavier traffic areas. Of course, you can maybe go and mop those areas a little bit more frequently. But if you're not going to mop properly, it does not matter how frequent or infrequent you're mopping, you're not going to get the job done without proper maintenance. So let's first talk about the right type of cleaner. And I won't get into specifics with name brands and that sort of thing. That's for other discussions down the road, or you can check out our website or call me and we can talk about specific products. But what is important is that you're using a neutral pH balance cleaner. Something that is not going to be acidic or something that is not going to be base or alkaline. A good neutral pH balance cleaner, one that is designed for tile and grout, is going to have a mild degreaser in them. So you can still break away or break apart the bond of oil and fat-based buildup using a neutral balance cleaner. But it's got to be the right one. An example of that, and it's not a good example, but an example of a neutral pH balance cleaner that has a degreaser in it would be like a dish soap. You know, it's got that degreaser in there to help cut your grease when you're cleaning your pots and pans. It's neutral pH balance, so if you get it on your skin, that's why it doesn't burn your skin, or you know, you can pretty much soak your hands in and it's not going to hurt anything. That is a neutral pH balance cleaner that has a mild degreaser in it. The reason why it's not a good example is because that stuff is so heavily concentrated that when you put in more than just a drop of this stuff into your mop water, you're going to create a very heavily concentrated cleaner, and you're likely going to leave residue on the floor. So your best bet is to use a neutral pH balance cleaner that is designed to be used on tile and grout, which means you're probably not going to find it in the grocery store, and you're not going to find it in the cleaning section of a Home Depot or a Lowe's or one of those types of places. So you want to go to the tile and grout section of a Home Depot or a Lowe's, and you want to find a neutral pH balance cleaner there. Or, of course, you can order ours. We have all sorts of ways for you to get access to our product. And also, we private label our neutral cleaner. That should be used for a different conversation, because there's so many good things I can talk about private labeling something and getting it in your customer's hands. So we'll talk about that another day. So again, we're going to make sure that we're vacuuming and we're sweeping before we introduce any sort of moisture to the floor. We're also going to make sure that we're using a neutral pH balance cleaner. Okay, so we've got 2 steps down. The next big issue that I run into that people tend to have trouble with is they're just pushing around dirty water. They're not actually picking it up. If you're going to recommend using just a mop for your floor, make sure it's not just a cheap sponge mop or not one of those little cheap mops you can buy at a grocery store. If you're going to go the route of using an actual mop, make sure you're using a heavy-duty commercial string mop. Those are going to be the most absorbent. Those are going to pick up more water versus pushing it around where we're running into more problems. But even with the right type of mop, you only want to do about 50 to 100 square feet of actual mopping with it before you take that mop and you put it in rinse water and you wring it out and you make sure it's rinsed really well. Another thing, and one thing actually, I actually skipped a step. Not only are we using the right type of cleaner, but we're allowing for dwell time. These cleaners that you guys are recommending or that you guys are selling or giving to your customers or that the customers are buying, they are designed to clean a floor. They're designed to emulsify the dirt, lift the dirt, suspend it from whatever it is that you're cleaning so that you can go through and pick it up more easily. So for you guys who are just dipping your mop in your cleaning solution and pushing it around your floor, you're not allowing for that cleaner to do what it's intended to do, and that is to emulsify. So dwell time is another important step that just about everybody forgets to do. You want to put the cleaner down. You want to allow for it to sit for 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe if it's a really nasty area, or if your floors have been neglected for, let's say, a half a year or so and you got a decent buildup there. Put your cleaner down, allow for some dwell time, and then if needed, do a little agitation. Now, that's not going to be needed if you guys are mopping properly on a regular basis, but ways that you can agitate a floor. You can use a deck brush. They have little handheld grout brushes. My favorite is the stand-up grout brush, because the stand-up grout brush, you stick it on a pole just like a broom. You don't have to be down on your hands and knees. You can just go through and you can agitate the areas as needed after you've allowed for that proper dwell time. Okay, so dry extraction, neutral pH balance cleaner, and dwell time. Okay, it looks like we're already past 10 minutes, so I apologize. One of these days, guys, I will get one under 10 minutes. But so once you have allowed for the dwell time, once you have agitated the areas as needed, you want to go through, you want to pick up that water. We've already talked about doing it with the string mop and rinsing your mop out appropriately. I, however, like to always recommend something that is going to extract, because then I don't have to worry about my mop filling up. I don't have to worry about pushing water around or anything like that. I'm using something that's actually picking the water up and picking up that dirty cleaning solution, so that we're not having to worry about it getting pushed down into the texture of those grouts or those tiles and those sorts of things. The one that I always recommend that people seem to love is the Hoover Floor Mate. There are so many other ones. The Hoover Floor Mate is just the one that I've been using, or I've been recommending people use for so many years. It's just kind of my default go-to. What I actually use at my house is I actually use a shop vac. And when I clean my floors, I will take my, I'll still have a mop. I'll take my mopping solution, my cleaning solution. I'll mop it on there pretty heavily to get some of that dwell time. I'll let it sit for 5 minutes or so. And then I'll go through as needed with my grout brush. I'll agitate areas there if I see them and I see there's a need for it. And then I'll just take my shop vac, I'll suck all that dirty water up, and then I will actually take a pitcher of just fresh water and I'll dump it on my floor. I'll push it around and I'll suck that up with my shop vac. The easier way, or the way that probably you'd want to explain to your customer to do it, would be to maybe mop down your cleaning solution, give it a little, agitation, or push around with a mop. Let it dwell for a little bit. And the good thing about those wet vac systems, like the Hoover Floor Mate, for instance, is they have bristles, like rotary bristles at the bottom. So I'm telling the customers, put down your cleaning solution, and then the Hoover Floor Mate also has like a reservoir that they tell you to put some sort of Lysol cleaner in. Throw away that Lysol cleaner. In that reservoir tank, just put in your rinse water. So just fresh water in that reservoir tank. And then what you can do is you can go through, you can extract all of your cleaning solution. You can use those little bristles to give yourself the agitation. And then you can suck it up and then also shoot down rinse water out of that reservoir tank. And that's going to ensure that you're rinsing up the floors and that you're not leaving any residue behind. It's also going to ensure that you're picking up everything and you're not just pushing it around. And that is going to be the best way for you guys to recommend your customers maintain their floors. It's not a huge investment. A Hoover Floor Mate, I think, costs like $120, and I'm sure there's other ones that are right around that $100 mark. And for people who have, like in Arizona, the average houses here have like 1,500 square feet of tile. So especially for people who have a ton of tile, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Go get yourself one of those Hoover Floor Mates or something similar. I'm not endorsed, or I have no connection to Hoover Floor Mate. Again, that's just the one I always recommend. But for people who have a lot of tile, use something similar to that. It's going to make their job so much easier. I also have a sheet that I have printed out and that I've kind of created for some of my bigger accounts. A lot of my contractors have. Alright, well, that was embarrassing. Mid-sentence, my camera or my memory card filled up. I have not been deleting the videos as I've been putting them on there. Had I kept this video under 10 minutes like I had intended to, that would not have been a problem. So that is my fault. Anyways, I was just getting ready to wrap up. What I was saying is I do have a PDF of some maintenance instructions that I have created for some of my bigger accounts, some of my builder accounts who are offering this in the building process, who want to give the new homeowners some maintenance instructions. And I am willing to give it to anyone and everyone who wants it. So I'm going to have my email somewhere like here. you guys can email me. Also, on Facebook, you guys can always get in contact with me, and I will be happy to email you that and get that information to you, either for your own information in your own records, or if you want to print it out and give it to your customers, it would be very helpful for them also. So, as always, I appreciate you guys putting up with me. I will talk to you guys next week, and again, if you want anything talked about, leave it in the comments, and send me a friend's request on Facebook, and let's stay in contact, guys. Thank you so much.